Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Psych Mom Show. Today, I'm going to be answering a question from a private Facebook group member who asked if attachment style can change within relationships, across relationships rather, such that you are preoccupied in one and avoidant in the other, etc. So that is a good question, something people ask a lot, and if you like questions like that, you should join the Facebook group. Separately, also if you'd like to get the subscriber-only episodes, the paid episodes, that you don't get those from Facebook group, that's different. No matter how many times I say that, there's some people who still say, oh, I got into the Facebook group, can I have the locked episodes? No, that's a separate platform. That's through Anchor, and that gives you all the subscriber episodes, including most recently, when you're arrogant and condescending, your wife's not going to want to have sex with you. That's like a way that her defense mechanism, her brain, erects, such as that she doesn't have to, feel like shit around you, by also being attracted to a man that's not treating her well. And if you've ever heard anything like that, if your wife has called you, arrogant, then that's the episode for you, as well as about 100 others. And as I said most recently, moving on into season 3 of the Dr. Psych Mom Show, which will just be in a couple episodes, I'm going to have more paid content. So a higher percentage of these will be paid episodes, so then you should pay. It's $5.99 a month. The Facebook group is different. That's $4.99 a month. But anyway, so moving on, the attachment style issue. So what frequently happens is that people with insecure attachment grow up seeing a pursuer and a distancer in the relationship that they see between their parents. And one is an avoidant attachment and one is preoccupied attachment, and they see this. So when they look for a partner, they look for the same dynamic. Now, based on how the partner acts, they could be a totally different one of those, but they're usually one of those. They don't somehow move to secure. Like secure is nothing that they saw, so they have no template for it. They saw the pursuer distancer, so they know how both sides of that goes implicitly. Based on their personality, they may frequently go to one end of that, either the pursuer or the distancer more frequently, but overall, they kind of know the dance. Subconsciously, they could play both parts. They know what it looks like. If they are very extreme, then they're always avoidant within relationships. If they're very extreme, so like if they are also a high sensation seeker because I talked about this, that there are personality types that look like avoidant attachment, but it's just personality traits. That was a recent episode. Not all avoidant attachment is avoidant attachment was what it was called, I think. And so if they're just somebody who really likes hobbies, really likes friends, super sensation seeking, hates staying home and just cuddling, then, if they also were raised in an environment with a pursuer-distancer parent dynamic, then they will be avoidant attachment most likely, whereas somebody who's more highly sensitive and, just thinks about relationships more, frequently female, is going to be preoccupied attachment if she saw that. A lot of preoccupied men, though, I've written about that, but not as many as women. So yeah, what they can't really do is know how to do the balance. So secure attachment really eludes them. So that is something that can be changed, though, by therapy and by working within a healthy relationship. Now, if this was like a Survivor style or a reality show, and I talk a lot about how reality shows are educational. I have a podcast on that. So if your wife asks you to watch them, you should, and discuss them. But if this was a reality show where you were allowed to take an avoidant or a preoccupied person and pair them and marry them to a securely attached person, it's possible that they would grow more securely attached. But in the real world, securely attached people don't really marry insecurely attached people because those people they weird them out. Like the securely attached person is used to seeing a relationship where there was give and take and where people wanted to spend time together but also had their own lives, and it was calm and there wasn't a lot of conflict. They grew up in these happy homes. And there are people who have happy homes. I mean, there's no such thing as, quote, perfect, but there's happier. And there are a lot of kids who grew up just, in a home that was pretty happy. That's the goal I assume all of us have for our own children, so it is possible. But yeah, so if they were somehow yoked to a securely attached person, then who also happened to be very attracted to them and motivated and could not leave, because in this reality show, the securely attached person could have no other options and had to make it work, then yes, through the love of this securely attached person and from modeling on this person, the insecurely attached person would probably loosen up a little bit in one of the domains on whatever end of the spectrum they were and become more securely attached themselves. And that analogy is kind of what happens in couples counseling over time. Both partners are trying to grow more securely attached, and as they do, they fight less, they're more empathic, and they give their partner the best chance to also be securely attached. And this is happening bidirectionally in a good couples counseling situation. Over time, both partners grow more securely attached. So that's the one that's harder, but even that with work can be done. And that's what I always talk about with reparenting. Over time, in a happy marriage or a mostly happy marriage, you are reparenting one another and filling one another's deficits that you got as a kid, because even kids that grew up in happy families have some kind of, yearning or lack, whether it was for more attention or whatever, a lot of kids around, who knows. But over time, these people reparent each other and end up in very securely attached relationships. Secure attachment, you should go way back to the Attachment Style podcast. I think that's a paid one. The original one, where I talk about attachment styles, is a paid one. And then I have some after that talk about individual styles. But yeah, you can go from insecure to secure, but it takes a lot of effort. Going between the two insecures is interesting because, like somebody who's avoiding attachment, they can frequently act preoccupied if they get a different kind of partner, somebody who's even more avoidant than them. Because remember, subconsciously, they only know one dynamic, a pursuer and a distancer, and if somebody's not pursuing them, then they may pursue. So then they get anxious. But this still doesn't mean that it's a happy relationship. A lot of women are like, oh, you know what I really want? I want my husband to be jealous and to want to know where I go and to, be so consumed with me like I am with him. But if they actually got that, they wouldn't want that. What they really want is a secure attachment. They just don't know how to say it. They don't even think it's possible. Some women don't even think it's possible, and some men too. So some people that grow up in dysfunctional homes don't even think it's possible to be in a secure relationship. They think that somebody always has to be jealous and controlling and anxious, and so they just don't want it to be them for a change. But that's not the sum total of where your relationship can get to, of course. The goal is to get to a healthy, secure attachment. And that, if you've been raised in a dysfunctional family, sometimes this is only possible with therapy or with deep introspection or self-work of some sort. But of course, I see it mostly happen with therapy, where it's more expedited than that. But finding the right partner is somebody you're compatible with is certainly helpful. So it's going to exacerbate your attachment style if you find somebody that you're incompatible with. Because, for example, if you tend toward preoccupied and you get a guy who is, really super selfish, then yeah, it's going to amplify everything that you think about the world. So for people that are preoccupied or avoidant in most relationships, they sometimes change in the honeymoon stage if the other person is very different, but then usually they can revert, or in a different scenario, they stay the other insecure one. They don't really move into secure again without tremendous work. Or, some work, at least some work. And secure attachment is the gold here. It's the gold standard. And that is when, just for the, a little review, you're vacillating between exploring the world and coming back to a secure base. And this is really not something that people who grew up in dysfunctional families see. So they only see fighting, conflict, bitterness, disconnection, fighting, etc. And they don't really know on a deep level that there can be a relationship. It seems very fictional. It seems like something from TV to think that there are people in the world that actually have happy relationships where there's not a lot of fighting. But that is not fictional. And this is, its own topic. But if you feel like all relationships and all members of the opposite sex are going to be disappointing, and all men suck, all women are selfish, all men are, cheaters, whatever, this is obviously stuff that you learn. And you should have empathy for yourself as a child, because obviously you were basically told this. Some people remember actually being told it by a parent, or some people got it out of the environment, because they always saw, like, dad cheats on mom, or whatever the case may be. But this isn't real. You were trained to think this way. You were trained to think that all relationships have somebody that gets screwed, and one selfish one and one martyr, or whatever. Or sometimes two super dramatic people, or two completely disconnected people. But that's what you learn. So, you're a good learner. You're a mammal. You learned from your environment. But that does not mean that that's how it has to go. So if you were always avoidant in your other relationships, but now you're preoccupied, you're under the danger, the illusion that this is like the love of your life now because you're obsessed with them and you never were obsessed with anybody before. No, you're just like acting bad in a different way, the other way. The other parent is who you're modeling on now. So as long as there's any like super controlling, anxious, conflictual behavior, you're still not in the right relationship. You've still not done enough work on yourself, to be a healthy partner, because there's not supposed to be any of that in a healthy, functional relationship. So it's not just like that now you found the person that you can be obsessed with and you can be the controlling, jealous one, and that means it's the love of your life. No. I see people in this situation all the time. Or the other one where women are like, oh, I used to be jealous and controlling of all of these guys, but now I've met this one and I don't really care what he does on the weekend. We just do our own things. It's a mature relationship. No, it just means you're acting avoidant. Now you're the distancer. And this happens to a lot of women after they've gotten hurt a lot by being the preoccupied, controlling, jealous one in prior dating relationships. They're like, all right, I'm going to meet a stable guy. I'm finally going to make it work. I'm going to be in a healthy relationship. And so basically they find somebody who acts like they did toward other guys, the pursuing crazy behavior where they're like calling all the time and acting like very out of control. They find somebody who feels like that about them. So because they only know one dynamic, so it's basically they're deciding to now be the avoidant partner. And so, yeah, they know that dance too. That was the other parent, the one that they didn't emulate in previous relationships, the other one, And so then they do that. And that's not good either. And it's just not, those are not the sum total of your possibilities in a relationship, is to either be the pursuer or to be the distancer. And if you think that that is the case, then it's because that's how you were raised, and it is because that is, what you were exposed to. So you don't really understand experientially that there could be anything else. And this is what therapy can help with, is understanding. Some people, as I mentioned frequently, don't even understand that there could be relationships without fighting, or that there could be relationships where people enjoy spending time with each other. That's just like crazy to them because they never saw that at all in their family of origin. Their parents were just hated each other, trying to get away from each other. There was constant conflict, or there was just no relationship. Mom and dad had complete separate lives. So whatever you saw is what you innately assume everything is, even if you're a smart person and intellectually that can't be right. On a gut level, you think that it is right. You think maybe those happy people are hiding the fact that they feel disconnected. Or, some women think every man would cheat if he was given the right circumstance. No, that's not true. Just as every woman wouldn't, And, but if you were raised in these kind of dysfunctional scenarios, then you think that the only things available, the only options available are basically a pursuer, distancer, but, you just kind of, you got to pick one almost, subconsciously or consciously, you got to just pick one. So by consciously, I mean when people think that they're doing the right thing by saying, I'm not going to get somebody that makes me feel insecure. But then they haven't done any deep work, so then they end up making the person feel insecure, because then they just go to the other side where they're the avoidant attachment partner. All right, well, I hope that this cleared it up. I have a lot of stuff on attachment. Attachment is an interesting area. And thanks so much for listening. And please do join my Facebook group if you like talking about attachment. Everybody in there talks about attachment quite a lot. And I will talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.